The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up bright and early with us this morning. I want to give a shout out to Sean Smith, who is joining us bright and early, and to anyone as you're joining us, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Jack, how are you feeling? It's Thursday, it's Friday Eve. How are we feeling?
I need to go back to sleep because I woke up at some hour. Went for drinks last night, had 2 sugary cocktails, and they hit me at like 1 o'clock, and they're just like, "It's time to party. Why are you asleep?" And I'm like, "No, we need to sleep." So I was up for like 2 hours. Like, what do I do?
Not even counting sheep, just like.
Yeah, I put on some meditation stuff, and I just closed my eyes, and eventually I went back to sleep. But it was hard. I was just like, have too much energy, run back.
The meditation music definitely does help, and I want to say good morning to Kathy Rogers. Thank you so much for joining us. I do know that, it's great that you found a way to get yourself back to sleep. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the fastest way, but at least you were able to get back to sleep, because it would have been something to be up from 1 o'clock till now.
Oh, I feel like that is absolutely what would have happened. Because I had and that's crazy, because it took a while for the sugar to actually hit.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I had these drinks at like 9, 10 o'clock, and they're just hitting me at, like, the sugar's just hitting me at 1. Like, how I was slowly, you could feel it coming. I didn't, and then I was just like, I was asleep, and I just rolled up, and I was just like,
it came out of nowhere.
I was like, uh-oh.
Well, as you can see, Jackie and I are definitely ready to bring you some feel good vibes this morning. So if you haven't already, please make sure you share this episode wherever you're watching. Today, our conversation is all surrounded around millennials. That's the generation that Jackie and I find ourselves in. And so for our feel good topic of the day, we're actually going to be talking about the ultimate goal of millennial women, and whether that's still marriage or if it's other things. It's a conversation you don't want to miss out on, whether you're a millennial woman or not. I definitely think all opinions and all thoughts on this particular topic is going to be very interesting. And stick around, because later on, you're going to be able to test your knowledge against Jackie for our trivia time with Terry. That is our feel good vibe of the day, and it's also a chance for you to enter your name into our draw for our 1-year anniversary giveaway, which will be coming up in June. So make sure you participate in that. Now, Jackie and I want to talk about this particular question for our feel good warm up. So we just want to know, I think, was it Bar News that posted it, Jackie? I believe on Twitter.
I believe so.
Yeah. So it was a conversation on Twitter yesterday around the birth rates in Bermuda. And so we just want to know, have you noticed that birth rates have declined in Bermuda, and what are your thoughts on it? Because I think the tweet specifically said there are 500 less, or only 500.
Less than 500.
Yes, less than 500 births. Was it 2021?
Yeah, last year.
So only 500 newborns were welcomed into this world last year in Bermuda. And so, Jack, what are your thoughts on it? Because, this is a specific topic for millennial women, because we're in the age range of childbearing, where that's like everyone's saying, go for it, go for it, go for it.
Life's expensive. So, like, at the end of the day, we still want to pursue our careers. We still want to travel, have our girls' trips. And a lot of us are single, so they're just like, well, I definitely can't do it alone. Because in Bermuda alone, it's extremely expensive to put a child just through school to help them further their education. So when you think about the cost of living on your own, the average 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. So if you want to get a 2-bedroom and up, that's like $3,500 a month. Some people
In rent.
Right, and that's just rent alone. Then you're gonna have to get a car, then you're gonna have to do groceries, then you're gonna have to do daycare. Daycare for the average kid is like $1,500 a month. That's just a lot of numbers, and people don't even make that amount of money alone a month. Some people aren't even making $4,000 a month. So to say that your rent is $3,500, and then you gotta pay your car note, if you have a car, that's what, $500 to $700 a month, depending on what payment plan you're doing. And then you gotta hit in the groceries. Groceries are like $700 or plus a month, depending on how many mouths you have to feed. It's too expensive. And then you want me to still pursue my career, and we are the most anxious generation, I swear. And you want me to add more stress to that bucket? Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to say good morning to Janae as she joined us. And this comment from Jason Shirley, it's absolutely what you were just talking about. He says, with the cost of living, the average Bermudian can't afford it. And Sean Smith says he agrees with you. I definitely think the pressure when you said that, I was like, yeah, it's actually a lot of pressure to be a millennial right now. Like Gen Z feel like they're like coasting because we're the generation that's either gone through stuff so that they're learning from what we've gone through. And the generations above us are at a point in their life where it really doesn't matter to them. Like they're sunsetting over there. So they're like, I did it, you'll be fine. And we're like, no, I don't understand how you did it. You're crazy.
If I did, my children would have to like help me in the garden. We're eating off the earth. Yep, it's adventure time. We're going fishing. We're going to catch our dinners. And then I just don't. Education isn't isn't the same as what we grew up. And they complain about the education system when we were back in school, and it's worse now. So in order for us to put our child through and get those steps ahead, be ahead of the ball game, or even be on par with other places, they have to go private school. That's like 15 grand a year at the lowest. That's lowest.
Right. And if you're just joining us, I just want to pause, Jack. If people are just joining us, we are discussing the declining birth rates here in Bermuda. So we noticed a tweet yesterday posted by Bernice mentioning that there were less than 500 births last year, 2021. And so we're just talking about the fact that there is a declining birth rate in Bermuda. And what are your thoughts on it? Jackie and I, are both millennials. And so we're the generation that is probably the ones that are supposed to help populate this island, but with the cost of living, as mentioned by Jason Shirley and Jackie, it's definitely not something that is an easy feat. And Janae says all these numbers are making her tired. So imagine having to crunch those numbers, right? As a
imagine imagine being the person that has to pay them. I don't know. I'd have to leave the island for a little bit to sort that out.
And this coming from Jason, he says 3,500. What palace you living in, girl? The average 2-bedroom is 2 to 2,500 unless people are being greedy and selective on which tenants they desire. So there is, but okay, I will say this: they're actually closer to 3,000. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and so I think there is a difference between a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right? Because obviously there's more lot size if you have 2 bathrooms versus 1 bathroom. But then you also have to think about location. Like the location of a property will determine its price point, period.
Absolutely. And don't let them have a few upgrades.
Don't let them put stainless steel in that apartment. Oh my gosh.
No.
Now we're getting closer to the 3,500 range.
I just know that I've seen, like I've gone and I've seen, I like to go to some of the websites for rental properties, and I've been like,
you're flabbergasted, right?
Wow, that's expensive. And for what? And then I go telling me I can't have a dog.
The restrictions are hilarious, and we'll probably definitely talk about that more when we talk about our focus topic of the day, which we're talking about the ultimate goal of millennial women, whether that's still marriage or there's other things. And I want to come to this comment from Monica Dunstan because she says she definitely noticed the declining numbers over the years. The class sizes are shrinking each year, which when you really think about it, because sometimes some people say, like, the larger class size makes it difficult for those students who do need a little bit more attention, to be able to get that attention. But now with smaller class sizes, one would think that would help our education system from a perspective of, we now have students that are like, let's say 10 to 15 students in the class, versus before when it used to be 20. Now we can give them more individualized experiences, but it still doesn't, I don't see people like ranting and raving and praising our education system now that we have smaller class sizes, which is frustrating because it's like, well, what else do you want us to do?
Well, I remember that being one of the arguments. I can't remember who stated it, saying that that's why they were going to close some of these schools, because there is a decline in birth rates. So you're keeping these schools open for, I guess, a certain cost to keep them operational and keeping them in. They're not at the best quality when I talk about like the actual mold and all
We'll
that
put a
stuff.
pin in that one for a future conversation for sure.
I'm here like, is it really going to cost you that much? Because you're not doing much. But I understand why they would try to close down schools to kind of merge, but at the same time, like you're saying, if the smaller classes are making a difference, then keep the schools open. But I'm not a teacher. I'm not in the system, so don't listen to me. I think we should actually listen to the people that are running it and go from there. But that's, like I said, a different conversation.
Yeah, we'll definitely pin that, because it is a conversation that we should have, because it does actually impact people's decision to have children.
Yeah.
Because if I look at the education system and I don't see a system that I would want my child to go into, then I'm not going to have a child right now, because I, I don't see a prospect for my child to be educated in the way that I believe my child should be educated. And so I think it still ties into the conversation, but we're definitely going to pin it, because there's like layers to it. Even when we talk with Dante Cooper from the BUT at the time, like, there was layers that we could have been into at that point. So there's just so many layers that we could break down, specifically for the education system.
I've already decided if I have kids, I'm homeschooling them.
And so to your point, Janae said there are definitely 2 bedrooms that are going for 3,500, and people will, the thing is, if they ask for it, someone will pay for it. Like,
No, some of the 2 bedrooms that I've seen that are going for 3,500, some of them come with like all this open area. The bedrooms are huge. They're clean.
they're big spaces.
Everything is like, so you have a nice living space. I don't know, but it's not in my price range.
Listen, and that's the thing too. People have to be we're cognizant of that, because I think my Monica Johnson says she agrees with you. Kids cost money. When you think about that, if you need to get extra space for your child, it is going to cost you money. Like, it's not going to be free, and that's the part. She goes on to say, I think there's 2 sides to the coin. Some women want kids sooner, and some will wait until they're financially stable, right? And it's that kind of like balancing act that you have to play, not only with yourself, but with your family, like with literally your children. Like, you have to decide if that's something you're willing to do.
I'm definitely in that boat of financially stable. I want to be like, yes, I love having a support system, but I don't want a support system that has to finance myself. I want a support system that's just like, I've paid for everything. Can you just pick up my kid? Or can you babysit tonight, mom? Because I need to sleep. I just want to go home.
It's not even a break. I just need sleep.
I don't want to go out. I just want to be by myself. This kid is always right here,
just on your hip.
Yeah.
And then this question from Janae, she says, could the decline in birth rates also be due to people leaving the island? I feel like a lot of people have moved off island, probably because it's cheaper.
Absolutely. You know, much of our friends are in in England, London. I don't know how far out they've gone, but a lot of people have
the
left.
UK. We'll say the UK.
Yeah, let's just round it out. Let's just say the UK. I was gonna say it, but I was just like, that's so widespread. But yeah, let's just say the UK. They're gone. They're just like, they got financial assistance out there. The education is cheaper, if not free.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, gone.
And speaking of the course education, Sloan Smith says, yeah, in 1995, when they changed to the middle school system, I made the decision to send my children private, and therein lies a new expense, which you probably weren't anticipating paying prior to having your children, because you were probably on the idea or the mindset, like, public education is decent, it's good. I've already paid for it through my taxes, so why pay twice? And so I definitely could see that. I want to come to these last 2 comments from Monica Dunstan before we take our first commercial break. Jack, I will do the first one, and then I'll show you the second one.
You said I'll do the first one.
No, I said I'll bring up the first one. Then I'll do the
Some
second
people are
one.
really not ready for kids in their 20s with the lifestyle, because the person I was in my 20s, good Lord, that child would have suffered. You know what's crazy? In my early 20s, the person I was, I don't know, my sister had just had my niece, so I was in love with kids, like in love. I should have had kids at like 19.
Because no.
Because now I'd be like, where we're going? Oh, nap time, cool.
Hilarious. And then she's this comment as well.
Same, Jack. The longer I make my mom wait for grandkids, the more likely she will babysit us often. Yeah, my mom's just like, so many. You have grandkids like right now. Like you have a 1-year-old grandkid and a
And you
5-year-old.
want more?
You're
Go
fine.
baby.
She's like, no, I'm ready for yours. I can't wait to be like, Jack, send me the kids. She wants all her grandkids at the house together. I'm just like, well, I gotta find somebody first.
First, sis, we're not popping them out by ourselves. They're expensive. Living as a single woman's expensive.
I don't know how people like. I understand how they go and they do it on their own, but I still understand why they chose it.
Bless their hearts, same way. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then Jackie and I will be back with our feel good topic of the day. It is continuing this conversation, so you do not want to go anywhere. Make sure you stick around.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about two topics that impact the millennial generation. We started off by talking about the fact that there is a declining birth rate in Bermuda. It's been happening over a year, so this isn't the first year that it's been a thing. But last year, there was less than 500 births right here on the island of Bermuda. And so we were discussing whether, have you noticed it, first of all? And then, what are your thoughts on it? So if you're just joining us, feel free to hop into that conversation, drop your comments wherever you are watching us. But Jackie and I are going to switch to our feel good topic of the day. We're talking about whether marriage is the ultimate goal for millennials. We came across this article. Now, don't get me to line where it was on. It's like one of this. It's called Very Well Minded or something like that. One of these fancy blogs that like they come up with this really cool name and you're like, okay, sis, how am I gonna remember this? Like how? Nonetheless, we will share the resource on social media with you guys later on, because it kind of talks about how millennial women are not really as focused on marriage as probably their parents or even their grandparents. And so we wanted to talk about that. And the first thing we wanted to ask you guys is, when you were younger, what was your ultimate life goal? Because I don't think a lot of millennials had the life goal to be married per se. Like that's like the end, like the final, when I reach marriage, I've made it. I don't think millennials had that. Or maybe we did and then we've changed. Like, let's talk about it. What about what when you were younger, Jack? What was like your like ultimate life goal? Don't tell me you want to be like something silly, please.
She knows it. She knows it. No, my ultimate life goal was to be free enough to just travel. Like I grew up traveling, representing Bermuda, and I just wanted that to carry on. So I was looking for yes, marriage was a part of one of my goals, but it wasn't the ultimate goal. And my ultimate goal was to find somebody, have some kids, and travel the world, actually explore the world instead of just exploring little Bermuda. Like expand your knowledge and life experiences. And kind of failing at it, kids.
It's like, well, we're taking stock, we're being honest with ourselves, we're being self-aware.
Yeah,
we've recognized that we're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, like I blame the pandemic just like everybody else. No, because
might as well blame the panorama.
I feel like she should just take all of it.
She should. What's she gonna do about it?
What you gonna do? Give us another variant?
We've already got your daughter. We got your daughter's boyfriend. Now we got the baby between the daughter and the boyfriend. So at this point, unless you want grandbabies, sis, calm down.
Yeah, I don't know. My life goal was, like I said, to travel. I want to play tennis all over the world. My dad always said, yeah, tennis, you could play right up until they got 75 and over. Da, 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 da. So I was just like, oh, that sounds wicked. I want to be that person that's able to travel, play different tournaments, take my family with me, go find different restaurants in different countries. But like marriage was not the end all be all. Like that wasn't it. That was probably like the start of my next stage of life. So
Mm-hmm.
marriage, kids, and travel.
Right.
Come back to traveling and food.
It always comes back to it. Listen, one thing about you, you're consistent. You are consistent. We love that about you. So this coming from Janae, she says, I always wanted a house and a car first, then 2 children. I never thought about marriage, although I wanted kids, which I think is interesting. Like, not saying that, the idea to not be married or be married is right or wrong, but a lot of people, when we talk about having children, like marriage isn't necessarily the, the catalyst for it. Or it's not the thing that kind of says I will or I won't have kids if I'm not married, if I am married. But a lot of people kind of, it's like what you said, like it's the next step to whatever journey I'm on, but it's not like, okay, once I get there, I'm done.
Yeah, like I grew up in a married, like my parents are married. All my siblings, my parents, we all have the same last name. That's our nucleus, that's our unit. And yes, naturally I want the same thing, but like at the end of the day, it's not like I'm gonna have a whole connection because I'm not married and with kids by a certain age. At first, like there was a time where I was just like what is happening? Like why am I not married with kids? Because I have been in that long-term relationship. I was like, that's naturally the progression,
The
right?
next step.
And I realized like that's not end all be all anymore. The end all be all is traveling.
And eating food. Travel and eating food.
Kids.
So Michael Anthony Martin says, marriage was never my ultimate life goal. I actually accomplished my life goal in November when I moved to Boston. Well, congratulations on that. That is awesome. I think my ultimate life goal, I think like Michael, excuse me, I achieved that already. My ultimate life goal, like literally when I was 11, you watch the infomercials on TV and they always come up with the little things about schools. And this particular one was about a master's degree program. And I was like, that's it. I want to get my master's. And then that was kind of like, period. Like there was nothing after that. And so it was like, when I got my master's, like, okay, 11-year-old Teresa, what do we have next?
Yeah, I just never got stuck on the idea that there's one girl in life and then you just stop and that's it. I feel like there's always going to be another thing that you want to do and you just add that to the list. Like it's life. You just keep growing and progressing and moving. So you do the relationship and you do the marriage and you do the kids, whatever order that comes in. Sometimes it doesn't come in that order. And
right.
that's life. So you might do the kids and realize you're not the person I want to marry, but we could co-parent next. But I just think that we just keep going. Why would you put so much pressure on yourself for that to be the ultimate goal? I've seen how women have stressed out because they're just like, why am I not married by this age? I'm this, da, da, da. And it's just like, screw marriage.
It'll happen when it happens. And so Janae says, I'm married with 3 kids. I still can't believe it myself. Now I feel like I'm working backwards to reach my goals, but I do not regret my path. I'm grateful for my journey. And I think that's part of it too, right? Because you get told as a young person, particularly women, young girls get told, okay, this is the way you go about life. You get educated, you get married, or you get educated, get married, buy a house, then have kids, or like, you do the house and cars around the same time. But it's like this linear way to go through life. And it's like having the ultimate goal of marriage kind of like tricks women to thinking like, if you don't have it by a certain time, you're not worthy. It's never going to happen for you. And then
Media
you kind of feel like, okay, well, maybe I don't maybe I'm broken. There's something wrong with me.
Media sucks. Media absolutely sucks because it's just like they paint this picture of what your life is supposed to be like and they push it at you. And it's just like, that's not realistic for every single person. Not everybody's going to have that. Like, chill out.
And not everybody wants that too, right? Like, and so I want to come to this coming from Sean Smith. He says, he wanted to have 5 children, married, and early retirement. However, he fell short of the 5 children. He is married and he's semi-retired at the age of 50. And I think, honestly, whatever your ultimate girl definition is, it will change, right? It will change depending on your life. Like, okay, Sean didn't have the 5 kids. He has, like, let's say he has 2. I don't know. Sean, tell us how many you have. But he has a number that isn't 5.
It's
And
what it's.
I did too. Whole another conversation. Or maybe it's a part of this conversation. We'll see how this goes. But like it's okay to pivot. Like, it's okay to, like, say, okay, well, I didn't get 5, but that doesn't mean I haven't reached my ultimate goal. I haven't reached my life goal of having children. Could have been like just the life goal. I didn't have to put a number on it, because a number is very, like, it's finite. So if you don't get 5, it's stuck in your head. Like, I only got 3. Dang it.
I just want happiness. Like, I just want to be so, I don't like, what's the word?
Content?
Free and self-aware and just authentic in my life, that I'm just accepting that, okay, well, this is it, and be happy with it. Not in a sense that you settle and you're chilling and that's your comfort zone. No, I mean, like, I want to be happy and be like, okay, well, I know I wanted 6, but 3 is actually brilliant, or 1 is brilliant, because some people can't even have 1.
Exactly.
And happy that this is something that I was even able to experience.
All right. And so I want to come to this comment from Jamal. He says, ultimate life goal was to be retired by 40 so I can enjoy life. That didn't happen, but, maybe we can change the number. Maybe we can say 45, 50. We still got time. There's no limit to when this actually can happen, this life goal. But I wanted to come to this comment from Monica Dunson as well. It was talking about media. She says, not just media, but other generations as well. And I think what you had just said, Jackie, about women not being able to have children, but the ultimate goal for most women, or from generations, has been marriage. And like, one of the byproducts of marriage is children. And that puts a whole different type of pressure on a woman if she is barren, or if she has some type of health issue in her womb, that she can't have children. But everyone's saying, well, you need to get married and have kids.
Yeah, I've absolutely been there. People's just like, so why haven't you had kids? When are you going to have kids? And I'm just like, do you know if I'm broken or not? Like, do you know my medical history? Do you know anything about me? Because if you knew me enough, you wouldn't know my situation. But because you don't know it, that means that you are not in that circle, that the proximity that you think you are entitled to know that information. You're not going to be a part of my support system. So sit to the side. And if it happens and you know about it, it happens and you know about it. But this older generation just keeps pushing this narrative that you need to be married and have kids by a certain age, or you're a failure, like you mentioned. And all you're doing is pushing us to rush into a relationship and a marriage that's going to ultimately fail, because you didn't even take the time to learn the person. You don't even know if you like this person, but they fit the criteria. They have a good job. They're a certain height, a certain color. They fit into a certain demographic. But at the end of the day, that's not your person, and they're not happy. So what happens? You get married in 6 months to a year. You fake it till you make it. And then ultimately you're sitting in a loveless marriage. And what happens? Divorce. What? Like, stop rushing everything.
And some people don't even get divorced because, in certain religions and certain cultures, that's not acceptable. So now you're stuck in a relationship that you probably shouldn't have been in the first place. So when it comes to this comment from Sean Smith, he says, over not having the 5, because that's cool, but enjoying a new life in a new country with my children. And I think that, and he forgot, and his wife. And I definitely think, like we talked about, your life goals can change. And as long as, like Jackie mentioned, you are content with it, you feel authentic in the life that you're living, it really doesn't matter what everyone else wanted for you or says you should have. And this comment from JD Virgil before we bring in our next kind of feel-good question as a part of this conversation, Jack.
I've come to believe that in relationships, the next step is, can I trust you more? Can we take team more? Will we be more? Oh, I love this. Be more authentic with each other, not necessarily marriage per se. That is absolutely the ultimate goal. I need to know that I am safe in your presence enough to completely be myself. Like, are you going to be okay with how awkward and weird I really am?
Are you sure?
There's more.
Let's test this out. Let's see how this goes. Let's test this out. And then, so coming to the conversation about, or coming back to the part where you mentioned about the older generation kind of pressing young women to have children. Janae says, then when you have more than 1 kid, they ask, are you going crazy? Wait, they actually going, again, you crazy. You can't please people.
No, you can't. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So if you have the one kid, they're like, oh, you're going to have another, and then you have another, and then you have a third, and they're just like, you have 3 kids? Why would you do that to yourself? Why would I do that to myself? It's your fault. Here's a bill. Thank you.
Please send the money to the bank. They're asking for it.
This is my account information. Thanks.
Just do a quick deposit. Now, in the conversation around ultimate goals, I think sometimes it can be coming from someone else. I wanted to ask this question, like, was your life goal based on the opinions of others or your own version of success, or did it change over time? Because we've talked a lot about like how society, the media, other generations kind of put these ideas in our head around what we should achieve. And did we find ourselves working towards goals based on someone else's opinion, or did we, come to these goals on our own, or did we have to like start doing the goals that other people said and then transition to our own life goals? So let's talk about that.
I have been blessed with amazing parents, believe it or not, that
she says, believe it or not, like, why wouldn't we believe that? Jacky, you've never said anything bad about your parents that would make us think
so annoying. Don't tell them.
Meanwhile, mom and dad are watching the show right now.
They're just like,
wait till she gets off air.
She's not getting fed tonight. I feed myself. No, but like my dad would be like, Jack, did you know that in this amount of time you could be retired by your 50s, 55. We can travel if I'm still alive. You can go play father-daughter tournaments, and that's fun. Like, that's right up my alley. So I was, like I say, I'm blessed with parents that had the same vision for happiness that reflected mine. It wasn't so much he's telling me something or my mom's telling me something that doesn't go with my personality, and like they learned me, they know who I am, and they make responses and ask questions based off who I am. Sometimes I'll be like, you know me better than that, don't ask me that question. They'll be like, yeah, you was just testing.
We wanted to see if you knew who you were.
Yeah, but we, like, the stars aligned when I was blessed with these parents.
You picked a great set of parents. Look at you, girl. Look at you.
Something right in my last life.
I wanted to come back to this comment from Michael Anthony, because although Jacky and I are women, he does go on to say that it's not just women, though. He constantly gets the question of marriage and kids from the older generation, which I think is interesting because obviously as women, we only know this perspective. We only have our own experience. And I hadn't really heard too many guys saying they're getting asked the question around marriage and children as well. And I kind of just assumed they're just out here living their best life.
Yeah, a few of my friends that, like, we sit down and we talk, go lunch or whatever the case may be, I'll be like, how's the pressure of marriage and kids? And they're just like, yo, if one more person asks me when I'm gonna marry, like their girlfriend, or you're gonna settle down, and why always, like, live your life
and let me live mine.
Yeah, there's a circus song, drink water and mind my business. Or
yeah, Patrice Roberts, yes.
Let me tell you, a lot of people will have better skin if they drink the water and mind their business.
I think that's going to be my next reel. I'm going to do a reel about, the goals for millennials, and I'm going to use that particular song. Because I've been like thinking, like, how can I use that audio? It's coming. Put a pin in that. It'll be back. It'll be up. When it comes to this comment from Sean Smith, he says, I walk to the beat of my own drum. He doesn't really care about anyone else's opinion. Only I can live my life, nobody else. I think this is like key words of wisdom for millennials to like unlearn what they've been told and relearn this particular mindset and mantra, because I do feel like millennials generation specifically were kind of pushed into this idea of someone else's version of success, or parents trying to live vicariously through their children. And unfortunately, it may have caused contention in certain relationships. It may have caused children to like go for a degree that they didn't want to go for because they needed to become a doctor or a lawyer or an actuary or whatever type of job.
Meanwhile, I just want to be a mechanic and take apart cars and put them back together, because that's
nothing wrong with being a tradesman at all. Like, I legit at Hamilton Parish Workmen's Club, I'd be like, yo, where are the guys that can fix this? Because this young lady is just not prepared for what is going on right now.
I think it's something amazing about a man that could come in, roll up his sleeves, and fix it. And you're just like,
you want something? You want a bear?
You're hungry?
What you want to eat?
Let me cook you some dinner. Come here.
No, that's the realest thing. And I think, and it's not to take away anything from a guy who is more intellectually stimulated than someone who likes to deal with their hands. I just think that what's been kind of pushed on people is unfair, and it doesn't allow them to be authentic. And I think that's the part where we find, I think that could be a root cause as to why there's so much violence, is why there's so much like contention in our society, because we have a generation of people that were told to do one thing and it wasn't what they wanted to do with their lives, to live their best life. And now they don't have the job that they went to school for, or they didn't get a chance to explore their most authentic and creative self. And now they're acting out, or they're trying to find ways to kind of
lost. They're literally
lost.
Nowhere for them to go. So they're just wandering around, trying to figure out what they're gonna do with their life.
And not the good kind of wander, because there is travel wander that Jackie wants to do. So hint, hint, if anyone's trying to go on vacations, staycations, whatever, Jackie's a wanderer. She loves that. Also make sure there's food involved. But like
because I'm not bringing mine.
Actually not bringing hers because she likes to disconnect. But then there is the wanderer that is like, doesn't really have an idea of where they're trying to go. And it's unfortunate because they get cast aside, or they're told, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. It's like, well, that doesn't speak to my spirit, so why would I do that? And so it was just a random off thought that I just had in that moment.
It makes sense. There's too many random voices in my head. So yeah, we'll put in that one too.
Well, there's so many pins, guys. Remember the pins for Jackie and I, because we got to come back to them. This coming from Janae. She says, I was with my boyfriend for almost 10 years and had all 3 of our kids before we got married. We never rushed into it, but we knew we would get there. And I think that's also important. I think it goes back to what Judy said. It's like, if you and your partner know that you're a forever couple, then marriage is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of one of those things that it can happen or it won't happen. But as long as you both are comfortable with whatever decision you make, that's what matters.
And talking about marriage, like I think about the wedding, and that's just too stressful. Like my what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, sis, but keep talking. I'll help you.
Sorry, my dream wedding.
Okay.
Is actually eloping.
Like, is your mom and dad invited?
No, literally me and my person, and come
back
like, so we're throwing a party, and then they find out that we're married, and everybody could be mad together.
We're gonna have to hire someone to take a picture, because obviously Jackie is not gonna take her phone. Her person is not gonna take his phone because she's gonna tell him no. So we're gonna have to like find someone. But then we're not even gonna know. So never mind. We're gonna have to do post pictures.
It's just thinking about the wedding, like everybody's gonna expect this over the top wedding. My dad's gonna want to have to fly in his friends, and it's just, that's 300 people right there. That's his guest. Like, what about his wedding? Exactly. That's just too much. And judge weddings. It's too. I don't need that stress.
Listen,
people judging me. And of course, some of them are your relatives. Some of them are your friends, and it's just like, y'all can see the pictures afterwards, but I'm going.
So I would have come to this coming from Janae, because I swear the 2 of you are twins. She says, that's what we did, Jackie, just our kids and 2 witnesses. And she said, our families are too big. So it's probably what's going to happen to you. Not even your partner's family, but your dad. There's so many people. And as we wrap up, Jack, I want to come back to the comment we made about the guys that can come in and, roll up their sleeves and fix things. Well, Michael says he can come in, roll up his sleeves and break it. And he'll break it good. So if you want it broken,
just make
call
sure
him Michael.
Your big trash can and your broom and dustpan or your shovel, whatever, because as you break it, it needs to go out.
And now, Jack, if you do this private wedding and elopement, however you decide, we need you to do an Issa Rae and just pop up on the pictures and just say it was like a photo shoot day or something. Like we just need to see you in the dress.
I still want to have a nice dress. Like I don't want to do it in jeans. Like I still want to dress, the flowers, the walk. I just don't want.
You don't want the pressure of the people, and we get it. Totally get it. On that note, Jack and I are going to take our final commercial break, and then we'll be back with our Feel Good Vibe of the day. We're going to test your knowledge against Jackie. If you are able to guess the answers before Jackie, you can send us an email with a chance to enter into our 1-year anniversary giveaway, which is happening in June. So make sure you stick around for that. Jackie and I will be right back after this commercial break.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Ayana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. And before we get into our feel-good vibe of the day, which is trivia time with Terri, we're going to test your knowledge against Jackie's. I wanted to bring in this comment from Sean Smith. He says, my wife has more say over my health and wealth if anything was to happen to me, unlike if she was my long-term girlfriend. Totally understand this and totally get it. But I do think there are legal ways to set up your long-term partner to be the person that can speak to your health and wealth, should that not be something that you're trying to do as far as marriage. Although there are obviously different things that marriage gives you access to, ease of access to, that, having to set up a separate document for your long-term partner, basically it's the same thing. They're both documents, right? So it's really just a matter of, personal preference, personal choice, and looking into it if you don't want to get married, but you want your person to be able to have some say in your health and wealth, because at the end of the day, if that's the person you choose, they should be able to make any decisions for you should you want them to. On this note, Jack, are you ready?
Yes.
It is trivia time with myself, Terri. If you get the answer before Jackie, make sure you send us an email at this email address. Here's the first one, Jack. It's probably difficult, but we're going to rock with it because it's movies and you're movie buff, I think. Let's see how this goes. What X-Men character is codenamed Wolverine?
Wolverine.
No. What's the character name? His code name is Wolverine. What's his real name? His character name.
Oh my god, I just went blank. I was about to say it. And then I started to say Cage, but it's not.
It's not him. But that's not his name. The audience doesn't seem to know either.
Michael should know this. Michael Anthony Marston should know.
Yep, Sean Smith got it. It's Logan.
Okay, so
what were you gonna say?
Totally different. It's not even the same movie. It's not even the same comic.
Okay, well, you're fired. And Janae's fired too, because that's her favorite character and she couldn't remember. So shout outs to Sean Smith for getting the answer.
Her brain, so if she ain't getting it, I'm definitely not getting it.
On to the next one. This is a horror sci-fi.
Oh.
Is it? Star Trek is really a horror sci-fi?
You just told me the answer.
Well, yeah, no, the question is, in Star Trek First Contact, who are the villains? Klingons, Borg, or Romulans?
Klingons. It's not? Say the options again.
In Star Trek First Contact, who are the villains? Klingons, Borg, or Romulans? I'm probably saying Romulans wrong.
Borg.
It is Borg. Yes, your second answer was right. I'll give you that. But you were wrong the first time, sis. The audience didn't get it either, so it's fine.
That's at the second or third something. Yeah.
But Sean got it, but he got it after you. But it's okay, because you got it wrong, and Sean already got it twice. So Sean, make sure you email us now. Last one, Jack.
Okay.
This is for the.
He's got like 2 entries now.
You don't have 2 entries. You got. This is another. It's another sci-fi. What Star Trek veteran played Professor Christopher Xavier in X-Men?
I don't
know him.
Name. I don't know his real name.
Describe him to me.
He's bald. No, his a bald, middle-aged white man. And what is his name?
Imagine that there's your lifeline. Call it for your lifeline. I haven't seen anyone come through in the audience just yet, but I am going to give him a couple more seconds before.
I described him though. I know exactly who it is.
You did describe him. I will give you that. The audience isn't coming through, so I'm going to just tell you all the answer. It's Patrick Stewart. That's the actor's name.
I don't know his real name.
Well, you're welcome. Now you do. And now everyone can know the gentleman that was in Star Trek. He wears the red and black outfit. Bald man.
Exactly who he is.
His name, Patrick Stewart. So shout out to Sean Smith for getting 2 out of the 3 questions right today. Make sure you email us over at engage@goodday.bermuda for your entry into our 1-year anniversary giveaway. As always, Jackie and I hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the Day has you ready to make it a great one. Thank you so much for watching and engaging with this episode of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert. We trust we'll see you tomorrow for more Feel Good conversations. Until then, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.